Alright, these might be the last videos we do in this house. So let's get to it. We got all the days to do right here in a row. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We got them all done by Wednesday.
Yeah.
We're on top of it.
Super on top of
this
things.
week. We needed to be. So, starting with Found Footage Friday. Of course, we're going to do them in order, one after the other. Incident at Loch Ness. This was brought to our attention by Guillermo Canales, who is a main supporter of the channel, has sent more stuff than anybody to this channel over the years. And he supposedly has another package coming this week. So
Excited.
Look forward to that. So thank you to him.
Thank you.
Thank you for the recommendation. Okay, so this one is available on the Roku channel for free, but did not find it on Tubi or Plex or any of those other ones. So Tubi finally let us down when it found footage film.
That's shocking.
I'm done with them.
Done
That's
with
it.
one film.
Deleting
out of
the app.
Like multiple that we've seen.
Yeah,
Hundreds,
deleting the
maybe.
app and losers. Okay, so the writer-director of this, who plays one of the characters, this guy has had a pretty incredible career as a writer. He started his career with the Arnold Schwarzenegger film Last Action Hero, which you still have not seen.
I have
Which is
not.
kind of insane to me. As much as you love Arnold,
Yeah.
to have him in this like action comedy parody, it's like a total spoof on action movies that he plays alongside of a child. That's like
Totally up
that's
my
like
alley.
your Arnold movie.
Yeah.
Like that's a kindergarten cop scenario.
Yeah.
So I can't believe you haven't seen that. He then followed that up with PCU, which is a really like cult classic kind of college movie where that freaking Jeremy Piven line with like "Don't be that guy with the concert shirt." You ever heard that?
No, I haven't.
Pretty famous line. He did Behind Enemy Lines. He did X-Men 2 and 3. Elektra, Incredible Hulk, the Disney, Marvel one. He wrote The Avengers. Ever heard of that movie? He
Little thing called The Avengers.
He wrote Ready Player One. He wrote, well, the screenplays, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of these are adapted from different, pre-established IPs, but whatever. He recently wrote Free Guy. And then, of course, his magnum opus was the Matthew Broderick Inspector Gadget movie, of course, if you remember that. So, just the credits that this guy has done for a found footage film
Yeah.
is wild. Now, granted, he did a lot of these after the fact, but at this point,
He had done
when he had already written X-Men 2, and it had already been released,
Yeah.
and still to this day, people put X2 in their top 5 favorite comic book movies ever made. It's a very popular movie. So and Avengers, of course, which was after, but I don't know. I just was looking at his filmography like, wow, he made this after X-Men 2. That's pretty wild to me. So this stars Werner Herzog as Werner Herzog. Everybody plays themselves in here for the most part. Spoilers, obviously, for the film in a minute. I guess we'll just give our quick thoughts on whether or not you should check it out. Then we'll get into the spoiler discussion.
Okay.
As we always do with Found Footage Fridays. Just because a lot of these most people haven't seen. And I want to encourage them to watch them if we like them. And if we don't, then it's like, bug it. Just stay for the commentary.
Yeah.
You don't need to bother. With this one, since we watched this, I still can't really figure out where I stand on it. I definitely think it's an important watch to be a found footage completist because of the talent involved in it. The fact that Werner Herzog is the main star of this, and that you have a very prominent screenwriter in Hollywood. You've got cameos from Jeff Goldblum and Blink and You Miss It, Crispin Glover. So Did I like the movie? Not really. The problem with the film for me was I really couldn't figure out the tone of the film. It, like with found footage films, right? You're trying to sell it as real, but with this one, it felt like it knew it. Obviously, the audience wouldn't think it was real, and it was almost like it was trying to be a parody of found footage films to a degree, and almost like a self-aware comedy. But like almost everything in it was very serious outside of like the music and the ridiculously over-the-top asshole performance from the writer director who plays himself in the movie, who's kind of poking fun at how ridiculous these kinds of guys can be, but I doubt he's anything like that in real life.
Yeah.
But he is such a prick. Like one of the worst humans I've seen in a movie in a while. And I don't know. It took us like 4 viewings to finish this, I want to say. And I just could never get into it because even putting all that aside, even just as like an idea for a film where it's like Werner Herzog's going to go look for the Loch Ness Monster and, you know, they're going to have a lot of behind the scenes problems and we're going to be showing that footage and not his actual documentary that he's supposed to be filming in the film. I never really understood like what their objective or like what the purpose of Werner Herzog's film within the film was. And that hurt the experience for me a lot because none of that felt real. None of that felt like they ever had a plan at a film. It looked like Werner was kind of in this movie talking all the time about like his plan, but it never seemed like he had an actual plan.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought up like the tone and stuff because I definitely found a lot of this to be funny and I was like really unsure if it was supposed to be comedic, but there was just some moments that, I mean, yes, like you said, the ridiculousness of the producer's character was like very funny, but then there was also some like awkward moments that I just couldn't tell if that was intentional, which isn't a huge knock for me, but it's kind of, it does make the film a bit confusing. And I agree with you. I think that the 2 documentaries being made like simultaneously, I wasn't sure what the purpose was for Werner Herzog's documentary. Like the film crew that was following him around for just like him making this movie, I thought that could have probably been not included and we would have gotten the same film. Like I don't really see what purpose that they served.
Well, but this could have been the documentary.
Right.
Right, is what you're saying.
Right.
Right.
Like,
to me, that makes sense, but it's the documentary within the documentary that hurt the film for me because it's such a focus of the film, but like it doesn't have any focus.
Right. But like you said, I think that if you are like a found footage like completionist and like a really big fan, I think you should watch it. It's not like you know, because of the talent that went into it, I feel like it's a competent film, of course, but it didn't 100% work for me with like what it was going for, which is kind of a shame. I was really hoping it would, but yeah.
I never gave really 2 shits about their goals and the Loch Ness Monster itself. It never had like a moment of like tension or intrigue where I was like, is there a Loch Ness Monster? Is there not? Like, what's going to happen with them while they're out there? I just never found myself invested in anything. I just very much felt like I was so wrapped up in watching Werner Herzog be Werner Herzog and reference a lot of his like past films.
Yeah.
It almost felt like a vanity project in a way. Where it was like, I'm Werner Herzog, I'm this awesome filmmaker, and you should listen to everything I say because I've had a crazy career and this production's beneath me. And the other guy being a pompous prick, and it just was kind of like the battle of the egos. And I don't know, it never was funny to me. I never laughed. Like it was trying to be. I'm not saying it wasn't ever funny, because it's trying to be funny. I never felt tension, so the horror doesn't work. I never felt humor, so the comedy doesn't work. And I never felt intrigue, so the documentarian side of things, where I'm supposed to be intrigued within like the film within the film, or even the film that we're watching, neither one of them just didn't really ever care where it went, because it never felt real to me at all.
And that's such a big part of like found footage. Like I think that's like the first thing that it has to be for me, is I need to believe that it could be real, you know, for it to really be like a successful found footage in a lot of ways. And this one, it just like no part of it felt like an actual like it all felt staged.
Yeah. I mean, take a movie like Deadstream, which obviously is very self-aware, very comedic, very over the top, very silly. That still felt authentic.
Yes.
Right? It felt authentic within its own realm.
Yeah.
Right? Like the film itself is set in a world that is reality adjacent. And so that reality adjacent world felt true to the reality adjacent universe it's set up to me. Right? And this film, it could do that. It could sell me that Werner Herzog made this, even though I'm well aware that this isn't real. I can still buy into it as real.
Yeah.
But it always felt like it was just like an attempt at making like a found footage film with some recognizable names without a lot of like thought put into the production, right? Which is weird coming from a guy who wrote The Avengers.
Yeah.
That wrote freaking, I can't say like Ready Player One or any of those because that's based on a book. That's not his own things, but like I don't know, just kind of looking at some of his credits, this felt like a very ill-conceived project. That, or we're just not getting it.
Yeah. And
that's fine. We didn't get it, but not one I really enjoyed all that much. So let's get into the film. Spoilers from here. As I had said, we do cover some of Werner Herzog's more famous, dangerous filmmaking in this, from Fitzcarraldo to... they mention a few of them in here. And I know there is a lot of kind of like almost old wives' tales about things that happened on the sets with him and Kinski and stuff, where, as they mention in here, like put a gun to his head to film a scene and all that stuff. So including that into this film, showing that Werner Herzog's somebody who will go to like dangerous lengths to make a movie, but then it like never feels like that's the case here. Like what is Werner providing to this film as a director that we see them filming him doing? Like, he does not feel like a director in this film at all. He feels like a guy who's kind of there and is kind of saying, okay, do something over here, and then that's it. He doesn't have a plan. He doesn't have a vision. There's no like either script or like notes that are like, okay, this is kind of the idea. There's no sit down with anybody to figure it out. Like, everything is kind of being shot straight from the hip in this production. Yeah. You know, they don't have any production meetings. They don't have any script readings if they were going to go that route, or if they're going to try to do it a little more loose. They don't really have guidelines to stick within. He doesn't even know the guys that they're bringing on board, like the sonar girl and the cryptozoologist and all this. They're like brought in, and the guy's like kind of questioning his role on board, and Werner doesn't even really know who he is. And when he's like kind of asking him questions and talking about it, there's just zero focus on the actual filmmaking. And this is shocking to me, because we're not talking about like some basic filmmakers here. We're not watching a film about guys who just started making film and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. You're talking about a guy who had already written X-Men 2 and a guy who is like a really famous director. Pardon the interruption. Our dog loves to interrupt our videos 100 freaking times. So, but yeah, just the fact that there's like a real film crew in this movie. This isn't a pretend film crew, right? Like there's recognizable faces. Obviously, there's a very known director, writer, and the production feels just as amateur as it gets. Which I know Werner points out on this is the craziest production I've ever been a part of. That's bullshit. If you look at his career, he's had insane productions. This was nothing. This was just going out on a boat with a couple people and filming nothing.
Yeah.
Like there's the drama here too is like it's just non-existent. It's like yes, there's like artistic vision not being met, but what artistic vision? Like oh, we're gonna put a girl in a bikini. And he's like, "Oh, what are we doing here?" And it's like, "What are we doing here?" That's a good question, Werner. What are we doing here? You're the director. What is the vision of this film?
Yeah. I mean the drama that they had, like that was one of the things that I found funny. I don't know. It just felt like really unbelievable, like that the producer was gonna. But I guess maybe it is believable. I don't know how it is in Hollywood. Because I obviously have never worked on a Hollywood film, but just like how far out of the way he was going to like lie to him, like getting the fake Loch Ness monster, the girl in the bikini, and like all that stuff, just seems so like you really think you're gonna just like lie to him and like you're on a boat filming, like it's not like you're going somewhere else to film.
Right.
Like he's right there when you're trying to film her like jumping in the water, like.
It would have made sense, obviously, if this was like B-roll shot behind his back and then he like showed up on set and they didn't think he was coming and that, but you're right, it's like a little like freaking 50-foot freaking trolley, like it's not
so small,
it's not anything, it's such a small ship, like there's nowhere to go.
Right.
This is what's so crazy to me, and this is going to come up again in another movie we watched today, where it's like, there's not enough distance on the ship. There's no below deck, right? There's the front of the boat, there's the back of the boat, and there's the the little place where the wheel is. Yeah. Whatever you want to call that. Oh. That's it. That's all. There's nowhere to go, and there's windows right through that like barrier between the two. Plus, so how do you get there's no way that you're getting some like Playboy model to strip down into a G-string bikini on a small boat and your director isn't gonna know.
Right.
That's just insane. There's nothing but dudes on the ship, maybe like 6 or 7 of them. Yeah. And you got a friggin' literal Playboy playmate stripping into a bikini, and you don't think like everybody's gonna notice, right? Bro, what? Yeah. Supposedly there was another chick on board, Gabrielle or whatever.
I think it was Gabrielle. I think that was.
No, they said she. I could swear they said she.
I thought they did too.
Okay, maybe you're right. Maybe it was a guy.
It was. I don't know. I got confused
nor here nor there.
It. Yeah, I got confused about that. But yeah, I think that obviously the thing that's gonna stay in my mind the longest with this film is just the producer's like attitude the whole time. Like he's so like. When he gets caught with the Playboy, he's just like, it wasn't my idea. Like, I don't know why the like sound guy is out here like shooting without you, and it's like. Stuff like that was just so ridiculous. And then obviously, like, at the very end, the stuff that he says at the very end is so funny and so awful. When he's like, the person who suffered the most was me. Like, I know the people that died, like, yeah, they died. But when you think about it, like, I'm here and I have to deal with, like, the grief and the trauma and all the pain.
I'm still
alive, so I'm suffering the most.
Nobody suffers when they're dead.
Yeah. So ridiculous.
To think that someone would be like, oh yeah, one of the crew members got our like sonar technician to agree to strip into a like American flag bikini and jump into the water, and he's just gonna film her for fun.
It's so awful too.
What are you talking about?
Jumping into that water?
Dude, no way.
Like oh my god, it's so cold.
To be fair, I don't know with this guy though, because he's not fair and he's an asshole. But like, if he called her up and was like, "Hey, you want to be in this movie? Like, this is what you're gonna be doing." I mean, she came in the bikini.
Yeah.
Right? So she knew she was jumping into that water, I would assume. Or she thought she was just going to get in the bikini. And she has every right to be like, I'm not jumping in the water. Yeah. Or like if he said beforehand, like, hey, it's kind of like the girls who, agree to be in a movie and it's like nudity required. And then they get on set and they're like, I don't want to do the nude scene. Mm. But they wait until they filmed a bunch. And it would be too expensive to replace them. And then they want to like be like, no. And they, in reality, they've never had any intention on doing it. Yeah. It's like, if you are asked to do something for a role, and then you're like, oh my God, I was taken advantage of. Dude, no. I mean, obviously, extenuating circumstances, aside, because there are, of course, examples where that could be true. But, like, for the most part, in this scenario, like, hey, you're going to come on board. I need you to wear a bikini underneath, and you're going to jump in the water. You agreed to that, and now you're going to complain? Yeah. No. Like, you can be like, oh, my God, I didn't think it was going to be so cold or whatever. That's fine. But, like, I don't know. They tried to kind of make her seem like a victim to that in that moment. And I was like, is she a victim? I mean, it's exploitative. Yeah. But she's a Playboy model. She literally freaking poses nude in Playboy. And then they're objectifying her. Her career is objectification. She's in freaking porno.
I mean, their reaction was definitely more like the fact that she had to jump in the water. Not necessarily just that she was like...
He's a dick to ask her.
Like, yeah, that's the part that's, like, not cool of him to do.
Sure, but if she agrees to do it, yeah. People agree to do that shit all the time. You ever watch Jackass? These guys will freaking do anything. They'll hurt themselves for fun. Mm-hmm. Right? So if you agree to do something for a film and you do it, it's not like it killed her or she lost a freaking limb or something. Like, of course, if you're asking someone to mutilate themselves, that's insane. Yeah. But to jump in cold water, you're going to be, it's going to be uncomfortable for a little while. You'll warm up and you'll be fine. So it's not that big of a deal, but I don't know. I'm just saying, like, in the movie, they kind of make it seem like it's such a big deal. And I'm like, is it? Is it really that big of a deal? Anyways. Is it Werner or... I think it's Werner. I can't remember who says this in the opening where they talk about how, with abductions and this and that.
Oh, yeah, it is Werner.
That only fat women, for the most part, seem to be abducted and gang raped. Bro, okay.
Like, that's so not true.
That's not even remotely true. I've watched a lot of, like, abduction shit in my life. It just over the years, whether I was into it or not or whatever, I've just seen a lot of it. It's like, for me in my memory, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but typically, it's like kind of, I hate to be too stereotypical with this, but it's like redneck dudes, for the most part, that are like, yeah, I was out in the cornfield. Or like I was in my bed and they came and got me and did stuff to me.
Honestly, I think that I think that is the stereotype for abduction is more like, I would never think like fat women being gang raped. I would never think that.
I've never heard...
Like for the no.
I've never heard of abductions leading to gang rape in my life. So that's absurd.
Thing you hear all the time. Yeah. So like, yeah, the redneck anal probe thing, like that connection is made. But really, I think that like abduction stories kind of span across like demographics, honestly. Like, I think you could probably find abduction tales from people of all walks of life, which is obviously what makes them so fascinating, because it's like, what do these people have in common, I don't know I don't know what that is. I don't know what he's talking about when he's talking about being gang raped by aliens.
But stereotypes come from something, right? Like, we shouldn't use them, but they come from somewhere. Right? They become stereotypes because it's typically the norm. And so, I don't know, when it like, the reason that people think stereotypically the people who get abducted are like redneck dudes is because probably by the numbers, the majority of them are. That doesn't mean them all, right? That's why stereotypes aren't applicable, because a majority isn't 100%, right? Unless it's 100%, stereotypes just aren't accurate. They're just like generalizations. It's like, oh yeah, most people who are into this stuff, right? Like most people who are into My Little Pony are little girls. But then there's bronies, right? There's there's like dudes in their 20s and 30s that are like super into it, right? So like it's just not accurate. And that's here anyways. I'm just saying, like, to me, redneck dudes is what I think of. That's not always what it is. That's just fat women ain't what it is. Like if you're gonna stereotype, it ain't fat women getting gang raped. This is just outrageous. Maybe in Germany that's the case.
I don't know.
But not in the United States. So I don't know where the hell he's getting this.
I don't know either.
Regardless.
That's like stuff like that is like the things that make the film kind of funny, where you're just like, what is he talking about? What does this mean?
Anal probing by like, maybe there's multiple aliens around the table and they stick one thing up your ass. That's not a gang rape. That's not how that works. Okay? If they all had probes and they were all taking turns probing you, that would be a gang rape. But one probe going up your ass by 10 aliens, it would be like one dude raping you while 9 dudes watched, and then you said, I got gang raped. No, you got raped and a gang watched. There's a difference. There's a difference there.
Both
so
are
the probe,
awful.
they're both awful.
They're both horrible.
But I'm just saying, it's just not accurate. One probe up your ass ain't gang rape. Okay?
It's just regular rape.
That's just regular old rape.
Wow.
The conversations you never thought you'd have.
No.
Although I guess if a gang held you down and you were raped by one guy, would that be considered gang rape?
Yeah. If they're participating in any way, even if they're watching is still participating. If you watch somebody get raped and don't help,
of course
you're complicit in raping them as well.
100%.
So I don't actually disagree. I think that if the only one person was physically doing anything sexual to you, and other people were around watching but not preventing it when it was like clearly not wanted, they're guilty of rape as well.
But they're guilty by association, not the act.
By non-action.
But sure, but when you, like, if someone murders someone and, like, 10 people watch and don't do anything to help it, they're accomplices to murder. They're not murderers.
Fine, they're accomplices to rape.
Yes. But that's not a gang rape.
Yeah.
Right? If we're just... I think it's just semantics at this point. But regardless, fat women aren't getting gang raped by aliens. This is not a common thing. Moving on, this is why some people tune in, and this is why some people unsubscribe, and you have every right to do both. Have fun getting gang raped by aliens if you unsubscribe. And then Werner also, when the sound guy shows up, he's like, are you the Mexican? I'm like, what?
His voice is definitely such an iconic voice. You've heard him in so many different documentaries and voiceovers. And there's something when he's saying nice things, it's really soothing. But I definitely was finding his accent funnier for some reason in this. And yeah, phrases like that were just sounded silly.
He had a girl in this that was living with him that we were 100% that was his daughter. And then we looked her up, and despite the 29-year age gap, they are still married to this day, even though he's in his 80s and she's in her early 50s.
Yeah.
So, hey, no judgment.
No.
We got a 10-year gap between us, but 30, whatever floats your boat. The water of Loch Ness in this movie is what floats their boat until it doesn't. Yeah, I mean the crew in this is a lot of them are like recognizable faces, like of actors and whatnot. But not anybody that I'm like, oh, them. I can name their names, just recognizable faces. And yeah, I mean, dude, I don't know. I'm sure there's Hollywood productions like this, but I wouldn't say Hollywood productions. I would say like more guerrilla productions where like people who are not adhering to the rules and regulations of Hollywood, right? Where you're not taking permits and you're not following procedure and you're not any of this and that. The whole like the producer guy Zach, he telling the guy that like if you want our business, you're gonna take the engine out of this boat and you're gonna put a quieter engine in this boat from another one, or we're out of here. Do you have any idea, like,
so
not only how insanely hard and complicated that would be, but like, dude, is that even like possible? Like, can you can't just like I can't take the engine out of my car, out of my van, and put it in your car. That's just not how that works.
Or you can't take my engine and put it in your car because he has a van. He's a larger car than mine, and that's like what they're asking. They're asking him to put a smaller boat's engine in a bigger boat so that it'll be quieter.
But it wouldn't have the mounts and everything.
Yeah, I don't
know how boats engines work. I know how car engines work, and that would not work.
That's what I would assume would be the same for boat engines, but maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's like super easy to change a boat engine.
You just unscrew a couple things, pop it out, pop the other one in, screw it. No, of course it's not like that.
Hands. You're just like...
There's no way. There's a reason that engine's that loud. There's a reason, like, no. Yeah. Absolutely not. If he wants to buy him a quieter engine for his boat, like, hey, like, they do make quieter engines for this boat that are the right size, right? It's just like, more expensive. You want to buy it for the production?
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll put it in. You know, like, we have to have it shipped overnight or whatever, and I have to stay up all night putting it in. As long as I get to keep it when the production's over, gold.
Yeah.
But just some random other boat, you got to just put it in here?
Dude,
what? No way. I mean, I guess it's possible that they have compatible engines, but he's just like saying it outright, like, well, you got to put this one in this one. That's not how it works. Like, if you, as you said, like if someone's like, you got to put your engine in my van, it's not gonna work. The hookup's ain't gonna work.
No.
That's not how that's not how it works. So, anyways, I thought that was silly, but it adds to the silliness of this. The Cryptozoologist, which I found weird because it's the study of like Loch Ness monster and freaking Bigfoot and all these like myths. I thought for sure I had to Google it just to make sure, but it's crypto, not cryptid. It should be a cryptid zoologist, should it not? I mean, it's so close. And a cryptid is these things, like a Mothman and a Bigfoot. I don't know what
I'm guessing that there's some like Latin root reason why it's crypto.
But
cryptid is the.
But is cryptid not like Loch Ness?
Yes, they're cryptids. That's like animals,
yeah.
Right? And then like zoology.
So it should be a cryptid zoologist.
But you don't... Well, I don't know. I don't know what the root is and why it's crypto instead of cryptid.
But the, like, Loch Ness, Bigfoot, those are cryptids, correct?
Yeah.
And you're studying them as a zoologist.
Yeah.
So you're studying cryptids as a zoologist. Therefore, you're a cryptid zoologist. I don't know. When I heard cryptozoologist, I was like, it's got to be cryptid. And then I looked it up and was like, it's not? Come on. What?
I don't know. I always knew it was cryptozoology.
Yeah.
I never really questioned it, honestly.
I always knew it was bullshit, is what I always knew. 100. So you think the Loch Ness Monster is real?
I don't know. I don't know a lot about, like... I mean, I like the idea of, like, the Loch Ness Monster being a dinosaur or something, right? That's like survived, like some species that hasn't been discovered. That's cool. But I definitely am like, I don't know enough about that like area, and it feels like if there was an animal in there that big, they would have found it.
1,000%.
Unless there's some way to get from like the Loch Ness to the ocean, like that they don't know of, and it's like comes in there. I don't know.
I showed you the Loch Ness.
Yeah, it's like really
it's like a
narrow.
little channel.
Yeah, but it's long, and there's also the ocean is near it, so that's what I'm saying. Like, if there's like an underground way for it to get to the ocean.
Have you ever heard of reproduction?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you need more of you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you die off because we have like lifespans.
But there's
and a dinosaur ain't around anymore because number one, it got hit by a freaking meteor, but also because there's none left to reproduce with. And anything like that would be from a prehistoric era, and you would need thousands of them, if not at least hundreds of them, to continue to be around.
I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's animals that had like longer lifespans, like some, tortoises and stuff can live, right,
You're talking about 250
years.
years.
There's trees that can live hundreds of years.
You're still talking about hundreds of years. We're talking about something that would have to be millions of years old.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing on this planet that is millions of years old like that. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. It would have to not only stay undetected with the insane equipment that we have today, something that size in something such a small area.
Yeah.
It's no. It's a no.
Maybe
it's just like, a no.
Maybe there's a portal in Loch Ness.
Why is there always
like another like dimension?
Why is there always one? You ever notice that with these things? Bigfoot, Loch Ness. There's always just one of them. Like Bigfoot.
I don't know that there's only one Bigfoot.
Bro, what?
I think there's multiple Sasquatches. Yeah.
There's a bunch of Sasquatches.
The skunk ape in Florida.
So where are they?
I don't know. In the forest.
What? Come on.
You never go in the woods. How'd you know?
Dude, because there's people who dedicate their lives to finding this shit. And yes, they find new species and this and that. But like, they're actively looking for this stuff in the areas which they know. They're going to find it if it's there. Period. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Moving on. I don't know. The producer's a dick. Takes a lifeboat. Ship sinks. Werner's somehow swimming with a camera. Good luck with that. I love when they're all coming out of the water and every one of them's drenched and they look over at Werner and he is completely dry. His hair is completely dry.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, way to commit to the movie. You couldn't even just like take a glass of water or just like nothing?
No.
Why would they all be soaking wet and he is completely dry? Like, how did he get saved so long before them?
I don't know.
And then when the producer's like, with stuff like this, someone always dies.
Oh my god, he's like,
with anything important.
Every great adventure.
Yeah.
Think about Gandalf.
Yeah, think about Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, and I'm just like, what? Oh my god.
So yeah, the two people who died are Boromir. Is that what he's gonna name them?
Basically, in his head, yeah.
So stupid. Lord of the Rings isn't actually a very good comparison because no one really dies in Lord of the Rings that matters. Like, it's pretty incredible. Like, Tolkien was really like very protective over his characters. Like, when the Fellowship leaves, you think like, oh, dude, at least half these guys are going down. Bro.
I know.
The one guy who is kind of like almost villainous to begin with is the one guy who dies and everybody else survives. It's pretty funny. I guess technically Gandalf dies and, and comes back. Yeah. And he's a completely different person.
Spoilers. For Lord of the Rings.
Spoilers, yeah. For a book that's been out for 70 years. And yeah, I mean, that's it. The ending music is super goofy. Yeah. Super goofy. I don't got much more to say about this. I mean, we talked enough about gang rape to fill an entire video.
Yeah, we did.
So this should just be called gang rape discussion. Alien gang rape discussion. That's what I'm going to put in the hashtags. Right. That's going to get us 1 million views. People are going to be like, finally, a topic I can get behind.
A topic I care about.
Tired of all this politics, all this bullshit. People talking about this and that. I just want to talk about alien gang rape and the semantics around it. So what do you guys think? You think fat women are gang raped by aliens more than redneck dudes? That's the real question posed. You let us know. You got anything more to say?
Nope.
Good. I'm done with this one. All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.